Welcome to another episode of my series on the 9 elements of opera. My name is Darren. In this episode, we are still going to talk about comedy in opera. For today's episode, I'll be talking about the second of the 3 opera buffa masterpieces I'll be presenting as examples for you to get to know this subgenre. Today's masterpiece is Rossini's Il Barbiere di Siviglia, or in English, The Barber of Seville. Rossini was the next great opera buffa composer after Mozart. It's possible to trace a line of succession since Rossini studied Mozart's scores when he was in the conservatory. Mozart took the subgenre to heights never reached before when he combined the innovations of his predecessors. Rossini would take the subgenre even further by bestowing it with a new respectability. For Rossini, in Italy at least, opera buffa was considered as a lesser twin of opera seria. The best singers would gravitate towards opera seria, leaving opera buffa to those singers with more modest capabilities. This is why the opera buffas of Mozart and the other composers from his time and before have lesser vocal acrobatics than those by Rossini and his successors. Rossini would change all that. He was able to attract star singers to perform in his opera buffas by creating big roles where they could display their extraordinary talents. Rossini had earlier acquired a reputation for designing vocal acrobatics better than anyone else in that era. That interested the stars in his work. Today, the Barber of Seville is most famous for his title role, Figaro the Barber, largely because of his entrance aria. Even if you may not have heard of the opera, I think you may recognize this song.
Factotum della città, Largo. Largo.
The first Figaro was a singer who had a somewhat successful career. The starrier singer in the original cast was actually the singer who sang the role of the male lover in this opera, the tenor Manuel Garcia. Garcia was one of the top tenors of that period. To honor his participation, Rossini composed a virtuoso aria for him, which was originally intended to be part of the opera's grand finale. In this upcoming excerpt, you hear some of the vocal acrobatics Garcia sang in that aria.
Al più lieto più felice mio cor dei cori amanti, non fuggite o lieti santi della mia felicità. Non fuggite o lieti stanti 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 della mia felicità.
The aria we've just heard, Cessa di più resistere, would later be dropped from future performances. Even today, when there's a trend towards authentic performances, the aria is only sung occasionally. Along with the aria, most of Rossini's opera buffas eventually disappeared from the repertoire for decades until the Rossinian revival in the 1970s. Despite the fading out of popularity of Rossini's music due to changing musical fashions, the Barber of Seville's place in the repertoire proved invulnerable. Even when Rossini's music was regarded as out of date, audiences were completely fine with overlooking all that just to be able to listen to this opera. That's how great it was. The Barber of Seville is named after Figaro, the barber who assists the lovers in the opera in getting together. The opera opens with the male lover, the nobleman Almaviva, trying to serenade a girl who had awakened his interest in the plaza. His serenade falls flat. Determined to find a way to break into this girl's heart, he enlists the help of Figaro, who by chance has come onto the scene. He learns that the girl's name is Rossina. He also learns that Rossina's under the custody of an old doctor named Dr. Bartolo, who plans to keep her to himself so that he could gain access to her fortune. With Figaro's assistance, Almaviva tries to serenade Rossina a second time, which succeeds. In this serenade, Almaviva claims he's a poor student named Lindoro. Rossina returns Almaviva's affections. Almaviva falls for her. He pays Figaro to think of a way for him to link up with her in person. Figaro, who coincidentally serves Dr. Bartolo's household, uses one of his visits to inform Rossina that Lindoro plans to visit her soon. Then, we reach the climax of the opera, where we finally see Almaviva put Figaro's ideas into practice. When the climax commences, Almaviva forces his way into Dr. Bartolo's house, disguised as a drunk soldier who's been assigned to stay temporarily in Dr. Bartolo's house. Dr. Bartolo naturally attempts to chase him away. As Dr. Bartolo attempts to make Almaviva leave, Rossina links up with Almaviva. Rossina and Almaviva use that moment to secretly exchange love letters. Suspecting something is afoot between Rossina and Almaviva, Dr. Bartolo has a violent argument with Almaviva. The two of them make such a commotion that they bring the city's patrol on them. The leader of the patrol ends up placing Almaviva under arrest. Almaviva manages to avoid arrest by stealthily disclosing his real identity to him. This strange turn of events sends Dr. Bartolo into shock and astonishes Rossina. This part of the opera ends with mass disbelief as Almaviva winks in the background. The final part of the opera begins with Almaviva trying to enter Dr. Bartolo's house a second time. This time Almaviva's in another disguise. He's now assuming the fake identity of music teacher Don Alonso. Almaviva persuades Dr. Bartolo to accept his credentials as a substitute for the real music teacher Don Basilio, whom he says has fallen ill. Dr. Bartolo leads Almaviva to give Rossina her music lesson in inverted commas. Figaro then comes in for Dr. Bartolo's shaving appointment with him. Again, in inverted commas. This appointment is to give Almaviva a wider opening to be with Rossina. Just then, Don Basilio unexpectedly shows up. Almaviva, Rossina and Figaro barely succeed in sending him packing without triggering Dr. Bartolo's unwanted attention. The musical example I'm going to provide you to let you have an idea of the type of comedy in the Barber of Seville will be the scene which takes place right after Almaviva, Rossina and Figaro send Don Basilio packing. Almaviva and Rossina are now alone, saying sweet nothings to one another. Dr. Bartolo catches them in the act. He realizes Don Alonso is the same person as the drunken soldier who intruded into his house earlier. He also figures out that Figaro is in cahoots with Don Alonso. Dr. Bartolo flies into a rage and throws Don Alonso and Figaro out.
Il suo travestimento! Bravo, bravissimo! Sor Alonso, bravo, bravi! Che gioia, eh! Bricconi! Bricconi! A voi tutti quanti, avete giurato di farmi crepare! Su fuori forfatti, mi voglio comprare!
La testa vi gira, mazzito
Bricconi! Birbanti!
La testa vi gira, mazzito
Birbanti! Su fuori forfatti, mi voglio comprare!
non serve gridare!
Avete giurato di farmi crepare!
Mazzito dottore, mi fate parlare!
Su fuori forfatti, la gioia, mi voglio comprare! Il rabbio ti sento, mi sento crepare! Il rabbio ti sento, mi sento crepare! La gioia, mi voglio comprare! Ci siamo!
Almaviva fails a second time in entering Dr. Bartolo's house. he and Figaro break in at night. This time they are more successful. Rossini decides to elope with them. Just as they are about to make good their escape, Figaro discovers that the ladder they had climbed to get in has been taken away. Guessing that they would try something in the night, Dr. Bartolo had the ladder removed while Almaviva and Rossini were carried away with their rendezvous. Dr. Bartolo wants to trap Almaviva and Figaro. He orders Don Basilio to look for a notary to marry him and Rossini immediately in order to put an end to his worries about somebody else stealing Rossini from him. The entrapped Almaviva sees an opportunity. He turns the tables on Dr. Bartolo by threatening Don Basilio into asking the notary to marry him and Rossini on the spot. Dr. Bartolo ultimately has no choice but to agree when Almaviva uses this chance to reveal his real identity. Until now, Dr. Bartolo, Don Basilio, and Rossini had only known Almaviva the nobleman as Lindoro the student. The opera closes with Almaviva and Rossini happily married. If the storyline I've just supplied may make you wonder how the Barber of Seville earned its reputation as the greatest comic opera, let me tell you that the opera storyline was merely a framework for the composer to work with. What gives the Barber of Seville its success is the sheer wave of comic energy that lies at the heart of his music. Alberto Zeda, the man behind the Rossinian revival, once said that the Barber of Seville got its title because Figaro the Barber was the character who set the energetic tone of the opera. Hence, I'm going to use Figaro's aria as an example to show you what Rossini's music is like.
Presto, bottega, che l'alba è già presto. La re la la re la la re la la. Ah, che bel vivere, che bel piacere per un barbiere di qualità, di qualità. Ah, bravo Figaro, bravo, bravissimo, bravo. La re la la re la la re la la.
The majority of the arias in the opera, except Almaviva's aria that comes before Figaro's, follows the same pattern as Figaro's aria, whose energetic opening we heard earlier. When Figaro belts out the opening line, Largo factotum della città, you can hear that his music has plenty of vitality and warmth. Rather than impressing his character's personality or inner state on us, he's giving us a powerful self-introduction. Meanwhile, the huge undercurrent of comic energy flows strongly beneath the music. Figaro as a character has so much spirit that he wins our entire focus. When sufficient energy has built up over the course of his aria, it finally erupts. All that energy surges out like a volcano when Figaro reaches the final vigorous breakneck phase of his aria, rendering us reeling with glee. And then, just when you think that all the energy is gone, it turns out that Rossini has actually held a little back for the singer. The singer will release that all at once in a closing salvo to bring the house down. You can hear it for yourself in this example, the final phase of Figaro's aria.
Figaro, sono qua. Ehi, Figaro, sono qua. Figaro qua, Figaro là, Figaro qua, Figaro là. Figaro su, Figaro giù, Figaro su, Figaro giù. Pronto, prontissimo, sono un bel fulmine, sono il factotum della città, della città, della città, della città, della città. Bravo Figaro, bravo bravissimo, bravo Figaro, bravo bravissimo, ate fortuna, ate fortuna, ate fortuna, non mancherà. Ate fortuna, ate fortuna, ate fortuna, non mancherà. Sono il factotum della città, sono il factotum della città, della città, della città, della città.
Figaro's aria is a showstopper, so are most of the others. Every one of these showstoppers is a classic concert number. Each in itself is enough to secure Rossini's ticket to immortality. Rossini is not done with us just yet. He has even more fun lined up ahead of us. His ensembles are awaiting us. I can't stress enough about the importance of ensembles in an opera. Again, speaking from personal experience, the ensembles are what makes a person willing and able to listen to a complete performance. This is contrary to popular belief that it's the showstoppers which pull in audiences, but think about it this way. If you enjoy the arias, there's no need for you to listen to a complete performance to hear them. You can always hear them elsewhere, either on a solo album or on YouTube. These arias are classics, so artists, both professionals and wannabes, will be performing them in their concerts or recitals. However, in the case of the ensembles, the only places you can hear them are the complete performances. The ensembles in an opera are literally what kills newcomers. They may contain the bulk of the drama. However, the problem is that these are the longest parts. They are at least twice as long as the arias. That's why I believe what really shows an opera's greatness is the ability of the music of its ensembles to sustain its audience's interest and attention. You can argue that since opera is a musical drama, the stage action can make a difference, but let's be honest. If the music puts you to sleep, you won't bother with what the singers are doing on stage. Luckily, in the Barber of Seville, Rossini exhibits such brilliance and mastery of his craft that the music of his ensembles will not only not put you to sleep, but will actually make you more awake. This was the first opera I could listen to complete. Prior to that, I did listen to several others, but it was only this one that I could sit through entirely. It was because of the ensembles. All except one of the Barber of Seville's arias are in the first half of the opera. The opera is about 2 hours long. By the time the first hour is up, you have finished all the arias. There's still an hour left before you can reach the finish line, but you can't get there until you clear the ensembles that dominate this section. Fortunately, the ensembles in the Barber of Seville are truly among the best to be found in opera, so I could last through the whole thing and live to tell the tale. The huge undercurrent of comic energy in the Barber of Seville doesn't just flow beneath its arias. It's very much present in its ensembles too. When I heard the ensembles for the first time, the first thing which struck me was the liveliness and sunniness of their music. That immediately fascinated me. Another thing which struck me was how hilarious their music was. The sound of it alone was enough to tell me that there was something funny going on. I liked it enough to continue listening. I was then faced with a series of ridiculous scenes rapidly playing one after the other. Rossini's music for those scenes was so descriptive and colourful. Even if the booklet for the CD I was listening to only gave me the most general idea of what was happening, I was still able to understand the humour in them. I vaguely recall them making me grin from 1 minute to another. They kept me listening. To let you have a small taste of one of those ridiculous scenes, I'm going to play one of the scenes from the part where Almaviva, Rosina and Figaro send Don Basilio packing. The section is literally the scene where the three of them say goodbye to him. Every one of them is singing only one line, Buona sera, Signore, Presto andate via di qua, which roughly means, good night sir, off be with you.
Buonasera, mio Signore. Buonasera, buonasera. Buonasera, mio Signore. Presto andate via di qua. Buonasera, mio Signore. Buonasera, buonasera. Buonasera, mio Signore. Presto andate via di qua.
Buonasera, mio Signore.
Buonasera, buonasera.
Buonasera, mio Signore. Presto andate via di qua. Buonasera, benedicore.
Buonasera, buonasera.
Buonasera, benedicore. Poi di vasi parlerà.
Rossini has a truly robust sense of humour in being able to compose such mischievous music based on an ordinary line like that. This was the same man who was said to have such an aptitude in setting words to music, he could turn a shopping list into a song. I've always felt that the only other composer who could compete in terms of that was the fella who invented the can-can. The action in the ensembles has to be continuous because that's the way to sustain the listener's interest and attention. All the more so when they are new to opera. With his exceptional creative powers at his peak at this stage of his career, Rossini accordingly kept a pipeline of musical jokes running throughout. At that stage, there was certainly bound to be some which bounced off me. The after effect of the ones which hit their mark was so strong, it helped me endure the ones that didn't. Enduring was worth it, because there was always the chance that Rossini might have something uproarious after that. Rossini never failed me on this. The uproarious musical jokes, in fact, had so much energy, it actually spilled onto me, firing me up. To give you an idea of the uproarious musical jokes, I'm going to let you listen one more time to a scene I already showed you. That's the part where Dr. Bartolo throws Don Alonso and Figaro out of his house when he catches Don Alonso saying sweet nothings to Rossina. Earlier, what I wanted to show you was the physical comedy in that scene. Now, I want you to concentrate on the music for that scene. When you listen to it, are you able to tell that Rossini's music sounds as though he's whipping up a storm? This is what I mean by his uproarious musical jokes.
Bricconi! Bricconi, a voi tutti quanti, avete giurato di farmi crepare. Su fuori forfatti, mi voglio accoppare.
La testa vi gira, mazzito
Bricconi, Birbanti.
La testa vi gira, mazzito
Birbanti. Su fuori forfatti, mi voglio accoppare.
Fratello, non serve gridare.
Avete giurato di farmi crepare.
Mazzito dottori, mi fanno parlare.
Su fuori forfatti, mi voglio accoppare. Il rabbio ti sento, mi sento crepare. Il rabbio ti sento, mi sento crepare. Mi voglio accordare, per voi ci siamo,
Did you notice that in this episode, I'm recycling musical examples that I've already used? This is why The Barber of Seville is such a great comic opera. We can listen to his music in different ways. No matter how we listen to the music, it will always still be funny. When I first listened to The Barber of Seville, I enjoyed myself so much that I could feel a slight pang of disappointment when the opera's final musical number ended surprisingly quickly. Surviving The Barber of Seville without losing my sense of fun opened me to exploring the world of comic opera. This is why I think it's one of the best introductions to opera, if not comic opera, to newcomers. Rossini's The Barber of Seville set a really high bar in the art of comic opera. Every one of his musical numbers, aria or ensemble, is first class. Rossini has such confidence in them, he himself said that the entire The Barber of Seville will outlive him. One comic opera would come close to reaching that bar. I'll be presenting it in my next episode. This opera will be the third and last opera buffa masterpiece I'm citing as an example of the subgenre Donizetti's Don Pasquale. If you had fun watching this video, please help me like it. If you'd like to continue chasing this series, please subscribe to my channel. If you wish to express your views about it or discuss it further, please feel free to leave a comment. Thank you and stay tuned.